5 years after our divorce, Olivia still shares a bank card with her ex-husband. She earns over $1 million a year, yet the moment her monthly salary hits her account, she transfers every last penny away, leaving nothing behind, sending it all to the very same person, her ex-husband. Even though we're divorced, we still have a child together. I can't just abandon him. That has always been her excuse. Even on the day she went into labor with her water already broken, she still rushed off to look after her ex-husband's son. It was precisely because of that incident that our daughter, Lily, was born with a fragile constitution. Later, when Lily suddenly fell critically ill and required funds for surgery, Olivia transferred every penny she had to pay for her ex-husband's son's medical treatment instead. That was the moment I filed for divorce, but she wept and begged me to stay. Both children are my own flesh and blood. You have to understand the difficult position I'm in as a mother. I promise there won't be a next time. For the sake of my young daughter, I chose to endure it. This time, Lily's fever wouldn't break, and she was diagnosed with acute leukemia. When I went to pay the hospital fees, I was informed the transaction had failed. That salary card, which should have held hundreds of thousands, had a zero balance. Only then did I realize that the money had, once again, been transferred away by Olivia. Delirious from the fever, Lily clutched my hand tightly. "Daddy, does Mommy not want me anymore?" I whispered words of comfort to her, but inside my heart felt frozen solid. Perhaps it was time to find her a different mother. I dialed Olivia's number once more. It went straight to voicemail again. I didn't try calling a third time. Curled up on a makeshift bed in the hospital corridor, Lily whispered to me, "Daddy is that person, Mommy." I followed the direction of her gaze, and sure enough, there stood Olivia, holding her precious son in her arms, right in front of the billing counter. She spotted me, too. The moment our eyes met, her expression visibly stiffened. Then, she handed the child over to Jason, murmured a few instructions to him, and finally began walking toward me. When she saw Lily, she let out a soft sigh, then immediately furrowed her brows, her tone laced with reproach. "Ethan, you know perfectly well that Lily is in poor health. Why did you leave her lying out in the hallway? Is the hospital out of rooms, or are you doing this on purpose?" I sneered inwardly as a surge of anger rose within me, bit by bit. "Our daughter has a high fever, and I called you dozens of times. Why didn't you pick up? And the money in my bank account, you transferred it all away. So tell me, why else would she be forced to lie here in the hallway?" My voice rose uncontrollably, drawing the attention of the people around us. Olivia's face went slightly pale as she lowered her voice to warn me, "This is a hospital. Have you no shame?" She crouched down and casually felt Lily's forehead, a cold sneer curling at the corners of her mouth. "Ethan, if you're going to lie, at least make it convincing. She doesn't have a fever at all. I've been extremely busy these past couple of days, and Hayahao has started coughing again, so I don't have time to indulge in your little charades." Having said that, she pulled a bank card from her bag and shoved it into my hand. "There's 10,000 in here. If she's actually sick, then go get her treated." The card felt cold enough to pierce the bone, yet it was nothing compared to the icy chill in my heart. 10,000? That wouldn't even cover Lily's medical expenses for a single month. That diagnostic report confirming acute lymphocytic leukemia was still lying quietly in my pocket. But I knew, even if I showed it to her, she would simply assume I was putting on an act. For the past 5 years, every penny of her monthly income had flowed straight to her ex-husband. She would even transfer away my own salary. All for the sake of that son of hers, the one she constantly claimed was frail and sickly. I gazed at the pale-faced Lily, my heart twisting in agony. Seeing my silence, Olivia began to grow impatient. "It's just a minor childhood illness. She'll be fine in a few days. Isn't this money enough?" My voice was hoarse. "That is your child, too. You worry so much about that asthmatic son of yours. Have you ever stopped to think that you have a daughter here with a congenital condition? All these years, the household expenses, Lily's medical bills, I've shouldered every single one of them. And you, what exactly have you ever done for this family? Aside from subsidizing your ex-husband and his son? If that's how you feel, then why did you get a divorce in the first place? Olivia, Lily is in this state entirely because of you." No sooner had the words left my lips than smack, she landed a vicious slap across my face. "Ethan, do you have any semblance of a father left in you?" Her voice was loud enough to carry down the hall, causing people passing by to turn and stare. Terrified by the commotion, Lily burst into tears. The sound of her crying only seemed to irritate Olivia further. She reached out and jabbed her finger roughly against Lily's forehead. "What are you crying for? Learning how to fake being sick at such a young age?" I shoved her away abruptly and pulled my daughter tightly into my arms. Just then, Jason walked over. "Awning, so this is where you were." His gaze fell upon Lily and me, tinged with a hint of surprise. "Is Lily sick? Why are you still out here in the hallway? Couldn't you even get a hospital room?" Olivia suppressed her anger and cast a cold, dismissive glance in my direction. "She's just faking it. Don't pay her any mind." How did How's test results turn out? Upon hearing that there were no major issues, she visibly breathed a sigh of relief. She gently tapped the tip of the boy's nose, her voice softening with affection. "Come on, Mom's taking you home. I'll make you your favorite braised pork." From start to finish, she never spared us another glance. My cheek was still throbbing with a dull ache. I watched the retreating figures of their little family of 3, my vision gradually blurring. Finally, the tears I had been holding back came spilling down, unchecked. Once my daughter was out of danger, I completed the paperwork for her discharge. Upon returning home, the moment I pushed open the door, I froze. The room was in utter shambles. The family portrait that once sat on the table lay shattered on the floor, the glass had splintered, and the photograph itself was marred by several jagged, glaring tears. It had happened a week ago, smashed by Olivia's own hands. We had had a massive argument that day. It had been 5 years since she and Jason divorced, and our child, hers and mine, was now 5 years old. Yet throughout these 5 years her heart had never truly left the Liu family, neither the father nor the son. "Daddy, will you shave my head for me?" Lily held up a small electric shaver, carefully extending it toward me. Her chemotherapy was about to begin. Her hair, inevitably, could not be saved. She had always been a little girl who loved looking pretty. But now, no matter how reluctant she felt, she had no choice. "Daddy, will my hair grow back someday?" The hand holding the shaver trembled slightly. Strand after strand of soft hair drifted down to the floor. She tried her hardest to hold back, but the corners of her eyes slowly turned red, and tears welled up, trembling on the brink of spilling over. My throat tightened. I couldn't manage to utter a single coherent word. If it weren't for that phone call all those years ago. She never should have had to endure this. That year, Olivia was 8 months pregnant. Her due date was just 2 months away, but right at that moment, Jason called to say that Leo had been rushed to the hospital due to an asthma attack. She instantly panicked. Without even stopping to change her shoes, she tried to bolt out the door. I stepped in to stop her. "You're still carrying a baby. There are doctors at the hospital, he'll be fine." But she violently shook me off. How isn't asterisk your asterisk son, so of course you don't care." Her emotions spiraled out of control. She even grabbed a pair of scissors and pressed the sharp tips directly against her swollen, pregnant belly. "If you don't let me go to him today, I'll die right here and take the baby with me." In that moment, I was utterly terrified. For her sake, and for the sake of the unborn child, I had no choice but to give in. I drove her to the hospital. But on the way there, her emotional distress became so intense her water broke prematurely. Even then, she stubbornly insisted on staying at the hospital, refusing to leave Leo's bedside. She held out for 2 agonizing days, before finally being wheeled into the delivery room. And precisely because of that, Lily was born prematurely. She entered the world with a fragile constitution, frail and sickly from birth. She had been frail and sickly since childhood. That day, I stood before the incubator, gazing at my daughter, her face tinged blue, her tiny body crisscrossed with tubes. I felt as though I were on the verge of a complete breakdown. I turned to look at Olivia. "If you can't bring yourself to let go of them, then let's just not get a divorce." That was the first time I had ever suggested divorce, but she clung to my hand with a death grip. Having just given birth, her face was ashen, her voice was weak and trembling with panic. "Ethan, I never imagined things would turn out like this. I was just so overwhelmed with anxiety. I promise you, I will never contact Jason again. Right now, our daughter is what matters most. She's so small she can't grow up without a mother." I wavered. Every time I looked at my daughter, my heart melted. In the end, I chose to believe her. For a while after that, she truly did stop contacting Jason. I even began to think that she had truly turned over a new leaf. But reality soon delivered a harsh slap to the face. It happened when Lily came down with a high fever that simply wouldn't break. I rushed her to the emergency room all by myself, and right at that moment, Jason sent me a photo. In the picture, bathed in warm light, sat an exquisite birthday cake. Olivia was smiling, celebrating Leo's birthday with him. In that instant, standing outside the resuscitation room, I felt utterly hollowed out. From that day on, the rift between us grew deeper and deeper. I stopped caring about the devotion she lavished upon the Liu family, father and son alike. I asked for only one thing, that my daughter be safe. Over the past 5 years, Lily and I had long since grown accustomed to her absence. But this time, that diagnosis sheet stating acute lymphoblastic leukemia finally crushed me completely. I finally understood. There was absolutely no possibility left for Olivia and me. The electric clippers whirred to a halt. Lily's hair had been shaved completely bare. She gazed at her reflection in the mirror, her eyes slowly beginning to redden. The very next second, the tears began to fall. I pulled her into my arms. She was so frail and thin that my heart ached to hold her. After coaxing her to sleep, I sat alone in the living room. My phone screen lit up. It was a post Olivia had shared on her Moments feed. The location tag, a high-end restaurant. In the photo, she was sitting right next to Jason. Exquisite dishes and a cake were laid out on the table. She was celebrating. The fact that their son was safe and sound. I stared at that photograph for a long time. Then I let out a soft chuckle, a laugh that sounded alien even to my own ears. I tapped open the chat window. That message, the one I hadn't sent yet, I deleted it. Then I dialed a number. Prepare a divorce agreement for me. I want full custody of my daughter. Olivia didn't come home for several days in a row. At first, Lily would ask me every day, "When is mommy coming back?" Later, she stopped asking. It was as if she had slowly grown accustomed to the absence of a mother in this home, until the day of her birthday. I had specifically taken time off work, wanting to spend the day properly celebrating with her. Lately, she had been shuttling back and forth between the hospital and home. Injections, medication, medical tests. She had grown so thin she was nothing but skin and bones. Every time I looked at her, I couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache, just as I had finished getting everything ready. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening came from the entrance. Lily snapped her head up, her eyes instantly lighting up. Olivia was back. She was carrying a cake in her hands, acting as if nothing at all had happened. She casually kicked her high heels aside. She offered no explanation as to where she had been these past few days. Instead, she simply smiled and said, "Lily, Mommy's back to celebrate your birthday with you." Instinctively, I felt a surge of resistance deep within me. I didn't want her getting close to my daughter ever again. Yet, I knew one thing even more clearly. What Lily wanted most, above all else, had always been her mother. And sure enough, the moment she appeared, a faint flush of color seemed to return to Lily's pale little face. Olivia pulled a dress out of a gift bag. "Mommy bought you a present. Do you like it? Come on, try it on." Without waiting for Lily to respond, she immediately tried to slip the dress over her head. But Lily couldn't manage to get her arms through the sleeves. Her arms were riddled with tiny needle marks so dense they looked like a rash, and even the slightest touch caused her pain. I reached out to stop her, keeping my voice low. "If it doesn't fit, don't force it on her. Can't you see the size is all wrong?" Her expression turned cold in an instant. That faint smile she had worn just moments before vanished completely, leaving no trace behind. She violently slapped my hand away. "Ethan, what is the meaning of this? I came back out of the goodness of my heart to celebrate her birthday. I even bought her a gift, and you two still find something to complain about." Her tone grew increasingly harsh. "Do you have any idea how much this dress cost? $2,000. I've already been more than good enough to her." Ignoring Lily's struggles, she forcibly tried to pull the dress over her head. Lily cried out in pain, tears streaming down her face. I could hold back no longer. I shoved her away with all my might. She had the money to buy a dress, yet she refused to pay for her own daughter's medical treatment. What kind of mother does that make her? Amidst the scuffle, the wig on Lily's head slipped off. It landed softly on the floor, revealing her completely bald head. The air seemed to freeze instantly. The very next second, Olivia shot to her feet, her expression twisted with fury. She pointed a trembling finger at us, her voice shrill and piercing. "Are you two, father and daughter, deliberately trying to spite me? Why on earth would you shave off perfectly good hair like that? Who are you trying to play the victim for?" Lily instinctively clutched her head, finally unable to hold back her tears as she burst into sobs. I pulled her tightly into my embrace, my heart aching as if being slashed by a knife. I took that ill-fitting dress and tossed it straight into the trash. Why did you even bother coming back? You don't even know what size clothes Lily wears. Do you have any idea why she shaved her head? Have you ever genuinely cared about her even once? Olivia stood there with her arms crossed, her expression utterly indifferent. It was as if she were looking at a complete stranger. Hayahao is still waiting for me at home. I shouldn't have come back to celebrate your daughter's birthday in the first place. What is she capable of doing these days, other than playing the victim? No sooner had the words left her lips, Lily's sobbing suddenly ceased. She stared blankly at her mother, the light in her eyes dimming little by little. Just then, a phone rang. I didn't even need to look to know who it was. For all these years, whenever Olivia came home, Jason always managed to find a way to call her away. She answered the call. The look of impatience on her face instantly shifted to one of anxiety. After exchanging a few brief words, she turned to leave. Lily reached out, timidly tugging at the hem of her mother's clothes. Her voice trembled with unshed tears. "Mommy, you promised you'd stay to celebrate my birthday." Olivia frowned and brusquely shook off her hand. Her movements were utterly devoid of hesitation. The cake sitting on the table was knocked to the floor. Cream splattered everywhere. And in that instant, I saw it. The filling inside was mango, and Lily was severely allergic to mangoes. In that moment, the last flicker of hope in my heart was completely extinguished. I took a deep breath and scooped Lily up into my arms. My voice was so cold it sounded alien even to my own ears. "Leave. Now that you've walked out that door, don't ever come back." Olivia glanced back at me and sneered. "I put money into this house, too. I'll come back whenever I damn well please." She straightened her clothes, her tone laced with impatience. "Ethan, try to be a little understanding. Hayahao's asthma is severe, he can't be left alone." With that, she turned her back and walked away without a second glance. The door slammed shut behind her. The room fell back into a dead silence. I stood rooted to the spot for a long time, until the sound of Lily's weeping in my arms gradually faded away. I looked down. Her face was terrifyingly pale. A single drop of blood slowly trickled down the tip of her nose. Then came a second drop. A third before my body could even fully register what was happening. I had already scooped Lily up and burst out the door. I ran like a madman. Red lights? I paid them no mind whatsoever. Only one thought consumed my mind: save her. I sped all the way to the hospital entrance. Clutching her tightly, I rushed into the emergency room. Nurses wheeled over a stretcher. I practically flung her onto it. As I raced alongside the doctors toward the operating room, I saw Olivia. She was there too, holding Leo in her arms. The boy was in the throes of an asthma attack, gasping for breath against her chest. She cast a glance at me, then at Lily on the stretcher. Her brow furrowed, and her voice dripped with annoyance. "Ethan, what kind of scene are you making now? I barely left, and you two followed me all the way to the hospital. Aren't you tired of faking illnesses to this extent?" As she spoke, she even let out a cold, derisive sneer. Then she set Leo down and took his hand. Although the boy was wheezing, his complexion was rosy. By no means did he look like he was suffering from any serious ailment. Standing nearby, Jason sighed and shook his head as he looked at me. "Ethan, let me speak plainly. Ryuning and I divorced a long time ago. You are her husband now. The only connection left between her and me is the child." His words were meant to sound conciliatory. Yet the sarcasm laced within his tone was utterly impossible to conceal. I had no desire to waste another breath on them, just as I was about to follow the stretcher through the doors. Olivia grabbed me by the arm, yanking me back. Her voice suddenly rose in pitch. "Did you not understand a word I said? I entrusted the child to your care is *this* how you look after her." At that very moment, Leo suddenly reached out and yanked the wig right off Lily's head. The wig fell to the floor, revealing a completely bald scalp. He froze for a moment, then pointed at Lily and burst into laughter. "Why doesn't she have any hair? She's bald. She's so ugly." In that instant, my mind exploded with a deafening roar. My eyes instantly turned bloodshot. I shoved him away with all my might, my voice practically squeezed out through clenched teeth. "Control your child." I immediately turned to the doctor, my voice trembling yet urgent. "Doctor, my daughter has acute leukemia. She's had a high fever and nosebleeds. You have to save her." Leo, having been shoved aside, landed hard on his backside. He began gasping for air and burst into tears. Jason's expression changed instantly. He scooped the boy up, patting his back while roaring in fury. "Ethan, have you lost your mind? Don't you know my son has asthma? Olivia grew frantic as well. She rushed forward, blocking the stretcher's path. Her gaze was icy as she stared me down. Apologize. I froze for a split second. Then I gritted my teeth. Never. Olivia, Lily is truly gravely ill. Even if you don't care about her, stop tormenting us. If it weren't for her, if it weren't for that father and son, my daughter would never be in this state. The doctor urged us from the side. Family member, sign the consent form. I reached out to take the surgical consent form, but before I could even grasp the pen, Olivia snatched the form away. She looked at me coldly, enunciating every word with deliberate precision. You still haven't apologized. And another thing have you forgot? Every penny in your bank account is with me. Right now, you don't have a single cent to your name. She tilted her chin up slightly, her tone chilling to the bone. No apology, no payment for the surgery. The air instantly froze. I felt as though I had been nailed to the spot. My daughter lay right there on the stretcher, and I couldn't even come up with the money to save her. Just as the standoff reached an impasse, from the far end of the hallway, the sound of hurried footsteps suddenly rang out. A familiar voice rang out. I've already paid the surgery fees. I am Lily's mother. In that moment, my taut nerves finally relaxed, if only for an instant. Olivia spun around abruptly. Her expression turned utterly hideous in a flash. Sophia, how could it be you asterisk? Olivia's voice instantly shifted in tone. I am Lily's biological mother. Who the hell do you think you are? She glared fiercely at the woman who had appeared so suddenly, her eyes brimming with hostility. She never in a million years expected that Sophia would show up at a time like this, and in this asterisk capacity of all things. The hospital corridor fell silent in an instant. Sophia paid her no mind. She didn't even spare her a single glance. She looked directly at me, her tone calm and decisive. Lily's condition is critical right now. If you trust me, transfer her to another hospital immediately. She spoke few words, yet there wasn't a shred of hesitation in her voice. Completely ignored, Olivia's expression turned instantly grim. Ethan, if you dare take the child away today, we're getting a divorce. Her voice carried a threat, but also a sense of indescribable panic. Sophia. That name had always been a thorn in her side. Ever since their college days, they had loathed one another. Back when she was with Jason, the woman Jason could never quite let go of was this very woman. Even their eventual divorce was inextricably linked to her. After the divorce, she had chosen me. But only now did she realize that I, too, was connected to Sophia. It seemed that any man she set her sights on would inevitably be stolen away by this woman. This thought sent her emotions spiraling completely out of control. As for me, I no longer had the patience to listen to another word she said. The divorce papers are already at home. Sign them, and I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month. Having said my piece, I didn't linger. Under Sophia's guidance, I pushed the stretcher and transferred Lily to another hospital. I didn't look back, not even once. Behind me, Olivia trembled with rage. Ethan, don't come crawling back to me begging for help someday. Yet, even after I had completely left the hospital grounds, she never received a response from me. Jason stood to the side, his gaze still fixed on the direction in which Sophia had departed. His eyes even held a trace of regret that was difficult to conceal. When he looked at Olivia again, however, his expression had taken on a distinct coolness. Yet, he quickly reined in his emotions and lowered his gaze to the child in his arms. Ruining, we still need to keep a close watch on Hayahao's condition for a few more days. As he spoke, he let out another sigh. Ethan was far too impulsive to lay such a heavy hand on the child like that. He gently lifted Leo's arm. On the arm was a scrape. It wasn't severe, but it was enough to tug at one's heartstrings. And sure enough, Olivia's brows furrowed instantly. That is absolutely outrageous, she exclaimed, carefully applying medicine to the child's injury as she spoke. Yet, in the back of her mind, she couldn't help but replay the scene from earlier. The image of Sophia and me standing side by side. That particular scene stirred up a strange, unsettling turmoil deep within her. Over the next few days, she remained at the hospital, tending to Leo. She remained convinced that my talk of divorce was nothing more than words spoken in a fit of anger. Over the years, I had brought up the subject of divorce more than once. But every single time, I was the one who eventually gave in. She knew this all too well. As long as Lily was still in the picture, there was no way I would ever truly leave. And so, this time, she chose to wait once again, to wait for me to come back, to wait for me to seek her out, to wait for me to take the initiative and apologize just as I always had in the past. A week later, Leo's condition had stabilized and he was cleared for discharge. The doctor offered a few brief words of instruction. Yet, throughout these past few days, Olivia had felt a strange sense of unease. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. It just felt as though something was missing. In times like these in the past, I would invariably give her a call, to tell her that Lily was missing her mommy, to urge her to come home soon. But this time, the phone remained stubbornly silent. She hadn't yet fully snapped out of her reverie, when Leo took her hand and said in a pleading, childlike tone, "Mommy, let's go home." Seizing the moment, Jason draped his arm around her shoulders, his tone light and easy. "Now that we're leaving the hospital, how about we go on a trip? That $300,000 you transferred to my account last month, we spent a portion of it on the child's medical care, but there's still plenty left over." He smiled as he asked, "How about the Maldives?" At the mere mention of the Maldives, Leo instantly lit up with excitement. "Mom, I want to go too, all my classmates have already been." In the past, faced with such a request, Olivia would have barely hesitated, but this time, she fell silent. That $300,000. It was money she had quietly transferred out of Ethan's paycheck account. When it came to using it for medical treatment, she had never felt there was anything wrong with it. But now, to use that money for a trip for the first time, she wavered. "Olivia, do you regret giving me that $300,000? Jason's tone was a shade colder than usual. "If you regret it, then take it back. Give it to Ethan, or better yet, use it to pay for Lily's medical treatment." The moment those words left his lips, Olivia's expression instantly froze. Coupled with Sophia's sudden appearance just moments ago, her emotions had been completely triggered. "Her illness is an act." The words practically burst from her lips. "Since the money has been given to you, it is yours." She reached out to stroke Leo's head, her tone softening once again. "Since our son wants to go play, then that's exactly what we'll do." She followed the father and son back to their residence, rather than to that house, the one where Ethan and Lily lived. She was waiting for Ethan to yield, waiting for him to come back and beg her, just as he had in the past. For the past 5 years, she had long since grown accustomed to this dynamic. On paper, it was a remarriage. Yet between her and Jason, the ties had never truly been severed. She kept telling herself, it was only for the sake of the child. Simply the instinct of a mother, unable to let go. And so, she and Jason had established a separate home for themselves elsewhere. She firmly believed that there was nothing wrong with that, back inside the house. Leo ran off barefoot to watch TV. Jason retreated to his room to play video games. In the kitchen, she was left entirely alone. Gazing at the candy wrappers scattered across the floor, she suddenly felt a wave of disorientation. Involuntarily, another image surfaced in her mind. Memories of her days with Ethan. Waking up in the morning to a hot breakfast, already prepared. Stepping into the shower to find the water temperature already perfectly adjusted. She never had to worry about a single thing regarding her daughter. All she had to do was simply exist within that home. And a life like that, she had actually lived it for 5 whole years. On one hand, she was exhausted from caring for her son. On the other, she took for granted the stability and comfort provided by that other home. Suddenly, she felt that something was deeply wrong. She set down her spoon and called out, "Jason, my hand is hurting a bit, you cook dinner tonight." He offered no response, not until she walked over and removed his headphones. Jason frowned. "What is it? Can't this wait until later?" Her expression turned grim. "I'm not feeling well, you cook." Jason fell silent for a moment, his tone tinged with reluctance. "Hayaho really likes your cooking. Besides, I'm not exactly a great cook myself." This time, Olivia did not compromise. "Then let's just order takeout." Jason nodded, picked up her phone, and began placing their order. Lobster, salmon, all manner of seafood. By the time the meal was over, the bill ran into the tens of thousands, and as for the payment, it defaulted to her card. She snatched her phone back instantly and canceled the order. "Use your own phone to order." The air went silent in an instant. Jason's expression changed. But in the end, he took out his own phone. Only this time, he wasn't nearly as lavish as he had been moments before. In that moment, Olivia finally understood. All these years her money had been supporting Jason and his son, and Ethan's money had been supporting her and their home. For the first time, a vague, indefinable sense of guilt stirred within her heart. Suddenly, she lost her appetite. She grabbed her bag, changed her shoes, and turned to leave. "Where are you going?" Jason asked. "I'm going home to pick up a few things." She offered no further explanation, nor did anyone try to stop her. She ended up having to take a taxi home by herself. All the way there, she thought about many things, yet she still held on to the belief that Ethan and Lily must surely still be waiting for her, that they were merely upset for the moment. But when she opened the door, she froze, utterly stunned. The house was empty. Her daughter's toys were gone. The wardrobe had been cleared out. It looked as if no one had ever lived there. Her breath hitched in her throat. She forced herself to calm down. Then, she spotted a document lying on the table, a divorce agreement. Ethan had already signed his name to it. Custody of their daughter went to him. The house went to her. Her hands began to tremble. Frantically, she tried to call him. No one answered. She sent a text message, only to see a red exclamation mark appear. She had been blocked. In that moment, she finally panicked. For the first time, she realized that things had spiraled completely out of her control. She began a desperate search for Ethan. She even refused to answer when Jason called, asking her to return and look after Leo. "I've already paid the child support. Since the child is yours now, you look after him yourself." With those words, she immediately blocked Jason as well. Meanwhile, elsewhere Sophia had brought in the top medical specialists available. Lily's condition had suddenly taken a turn for the worse. Their only hope: surgery. "Ethan, I know you're afraid to take the risk, but this is our only chance." I stood at the door of the operating room, my palms slick with cold sweat. In the end, I nodded. Those few hours felt like an eternity, until finally the operating lights went out. The surgeon walked out. The surgery was a success. I nearly collapsed right where I stood. I repeated the word "thank you" over and over again. Sophia walked into the recovery room and whispered to me, "From now on, Lily is my child. As long as I'm here, neither of you will ever have to suffer injustice again." I looked at her, unable to utter a single word. For the past 5 years, she had been waiting, silently, without intruding, yet she had never left my side. A month later, Lily had made a remarkable recovery. On the day she was discharged, we ran into Olivia. She stood there, gazing at her daughter with tentative caution. "Lily, mommy's right here." She reached out her hand, but Lily instinctively recoiled, hiding behind me, clutching both my hand and Sophia's tightly. I looked at Olivia, my voice calm and steady. "The cooling-off period is over. Let's go sign the divorce papers." She froze. Her eyes slowly began to well up with tears. "Do you really want a divorce? What about our daughter? Is this what she wants? Or have you already found someone else?" I took a deep breath and spoke each word with deliberate clarity. "You pursued your ex-husband while we were married. You siphoned off my entire paycheck. You even nearly cost our daughter her life. Those reasons alone are more than enough." She fell silent. Then she took my hand and led me to the Civil Affairs Bureau. "Once we divorce today, it really is over between us." She was still gambling that I would turn back. But this time, I didn't. The moment the divorce certificate was placed in her hands, that was when true panic finally set in. "Ethan, I regret it. I regret not treating you and Lily right all these years." Her voice trembled, but I simply looked at her, with absolute calm. "It's too late." I turned away and took my daughter's hand. This time, we never looked back.